I'm still in Sydney.
And where are you, James, right now?
I'm in San Francisco,
Okay.
California. But yeah, that behind me.
His name, I don't remember anymore. It's 7. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. So
Next declaration. Everybody seems prophet. No, we have just a moment.
Playing Lego.
Yeah.
So the name is Hope of Garden or the Garden of Hope. Which way?
with
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Pepe.
Hi, Envy. How are you?
Good. I need some sunglasses for your shirt.
Yeah.
Ah, that's better.
My favorite one.
I can't look at your shirt.
But this is not the same you had when you was in Italy, because you have maybe more than one white sunglasses.
Maybe I lose them a lot.
Yeah, similar. So, hi, James.
Yeah, I'll send him another message.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Hey guys. Hi Mike.
Hey.
Yeah, and Royal is with us just now.
Hello Hambi.
Hi.
Hello Emily.
Hello.
So I saw your little walking in the Milan.
Hi, Royal. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, likewise.
So maybe now Michael could introduce you and one each other, the other guest we have.
Yes. Okay. I'll do a quick introduction of Roel. Roel is from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands. He's a landscape architect and director partner of Smartland. They have a very cool office that I haven't been to yet, which is down near the waterfront. It's in some shipping containers in bright red colors. And they are a specialist company in ecological planning, landscape architecture, landscape planning, landscape design. And I work with Roel mostly on water projects, clever use of water, but also in broader areas about whole ecological management, wildlife systems, learning about the future, smarter way to do things, and always he thinks smart. I guess that's why he calls his company Smartland. So I'm glad Roel could join the call.
Great. So Gregorio is with us, and also MBMB, Emily and Xiao Zhou, and James Key. Gregorio is Royal. Gregorio is one of our friends, as you know, in this series. We are me, Michael, James Key, Gregorio, Emily, and today we have also with us MBMB is and our special friend, and later I would like to explain why invited MBMB today with us. Gregorio is a lecturer in Belgian University. James Key, we maybe already met. Is a common friend, a friend of mine, and a friend of Michael, and is American Chinese architect, a good friend, a special person. as well Emily. Emily is a young architect. She's studying for her master, to get her master in Alvar Aalto University in Helsinki, and she's my special cultural mediator with the Chinese culture. She was with us as an intern in our office in Arcni, in Milano. We have usually approximately 50, 60 internship during the 4 year. And with these young guys, we have some time, often special relationship also after they finish their internship. So it was with MBMB. MBMB is a Congolese guy. He studied also in Polimi, Milano. I met him during this period of his life. And after his very interesting internship he had with us, after that, with him, we decided to open an interesting Facebook group. But about this, I prefer MB explain us later, directly with his voice. I think you don't know, but every episode, every Upbeat Garden episode start with a song. With the song adding to an image. So maybe I could start with an image. This usually the image is in my background, but today in my background I had to put this image because, as you know, last Saturday we started with a new era of extraterrestrial exploration. It's a little bit curious because really we still have not understand how rich and even difficult is our planet, but we start to move to the space. But anyway, this is the image. This is the reason why I choose this image in my background. But the image of the day, the image to share with you, is this one. Now I'll try to open it and I share my screen because it's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. It's really funny. It's really funny. In a lot of town, in a lot of park, even in Milano, the local authority are using this kind of symbol to draw on the floor circle. So for each circle, you could stay into that circle with your family, separated from the other circle, no? But it's interesting the ambiguity of the signs, of the symbol of now the relationship between what you should say and what people understand. Because this depends from your from the gap between your goal and what people and the people's goal, no? So the song I choose for this morning episode is a very famous song that sure you know.
Oh yeah, tell you something. I think
Beatles.
Say that something. I wanna hold your hand.
I wanna hold your hand. No, because because really people want all the end of his friend needs hugs, need need proximity, not distance. So this circle was in Brazil become people understood that circle in the opposite way. And the misunderstanding, okay? This is what I would like to share with you now. Maybe later could add in this episode, could join in this episode also a friend of mine, Katia. I don't know, it's not so sure because he was a little bit busy with his university course. And with Katia, we was mate in our, during the university period. And one of our master, Giorgio Grassi, I remember a day told us, but take a look to this plan, take a look. If this plan seems a dog, this is not architecture, because architecture is not a dog, and a dog is not architecture. So the confusion between drawing and what people think about drawing could be interesting. It is not only about drawing, but about the semiology, about the misunderstanding about shape. And this, I think, is very important in our work, especially today, because more than in other times, we have to be clear, because instructions, what people can do, what people can't do, it's important. And today we will talk about public space, landscape, and so I think it's interesting, the relationship between what we draw and what people understand. Sorry if it was too long. So, Greg, good morning. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Sorry I was absent last week. I was missing the program.
Don't worry. As you know, you can find, all of you can find the recorded episodes on a YouTube channel called with the name of the series, Hop with Garden. Royal maybe don't know, we choose this weird name because during the quarantine period we need hope. But at a certain point I told, yes, hope, but also garden. Because in my in my small room, I can stay, but I need a small garden. No, this is an old question. No, with the relationship between stay in the nature or stay in a closed space.
Welcome, Rul. How are you?
Thanks.
We are neighbors. We're like,
Yes, I just heard. Yeah.
What news about Amsterdam, Royal?
Yeah, it's actually, of course, I've been working from home the last months, and but from actually next week we start to actually yesterday was the first time I was back in the office for again for since several weeks, and yeah, it feels good to get a little bit more space to move around, to because of course sitting at home working is not very ideal, although I have a very small garden. But yeah, so it's getting a bit better, although everybody wants to we should be very careful. And it's very interesting that I think 3 months ago we had this call with EADG together, like it was called the Global Cloud Reception, I think, like really, and then everything was concentrating on what's going on in China. And then if you then look now, I mean, just it's so changed, spreading all over the world. And I mean, it's just, it's amazing. And it will have a lot of effect also on, how you deal with public space. But on the other hand, you also see, just like your image that you have now in your background, in Amsterdam, the terraces are totally full again. So sometimes if you go through the city, you have the idea that nothing has changed. Who knows?
And Ambi, how are you, Ambi?
I'm good. Thank
How
you.
is the situation in Congo?
These days, like with the pandemic of coronavirus, now it's getting a little bit worse because the curve is now growing, it's increasing, but the government is taking now some precaution like to take care of that situation.
Yeah. So, Roel, would you like to share with us some image about your present?
Yeah, I mean some images of things we are dealing now with, or
Yeah, absolutely.
that's good. I will introduce.
Feel totally free to share with us because the mood of this series is exactly this one. Some friends met during in Italy now and also in your country now is coffee time, I suppose. No, maybe in San Francisco is whiskey time. In Australia is tea time, maybe. Yeah. And in Helsinki, as a little bit late, no? Maybe now is 9 a.m.
Breakfast time.
Breakfast time, yeah.
This is a breakfast.
Yeah. So we can have a chat about yes.
Yeah.
In Brussels,
can,
nobody is awakened yet, so they start at 10, more or less.
So I will share something, or I will.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not able to. I think you have to allow me to.
Yes, sure. I always forgot this. I always forget how I have to do it. Let me check. This is the usual problem. Every time Zoom blocked me, and I have to solve this to manage this setting. Share screen. Okay, now it should be working now.
Yes. So this was Michael was explaining. So this is where we are based. It's a very small village, actually, in Amsterdam, and it's a sort of a village made of shipping containers, and it's a temporary solution because this is around the west station of Amsterdam, the train station and metro station, and because this area was too close to the contours of the harbor still, so difficult to develop. But the harbors in Amsterdam are also changing. and become like real urban residential areas. But this plot was really given to a group of people for 10 years to to make a sort of circular village, all made with waste material. And that is really where we are. We were really on the west side of the city, just close to the harbor at the station, and it has a vineyard. So this little plot, this little oasis in the city, is making its own wine. It's a very special location. And as you see here, part of the delta of the Netherlands, and that's actually also really what we are. That's a bit our focus. I mean, I'm a landscape architect with a background in nature and landscape engineering, and we focus a lot on what we call the urgent topics. So how to deal with climate change, how to deal with the decline of the biodiversity, problems in cities with heat stress, to make them rainproof, but they're not only in the cities but also in the landscape, dealing with the how do you call it, the sinking of the land. We have a lot of peatland here in the Netherlands, so how to deal with that, drought, like these kind of topics we really are focused on. And that's, becoming more and more urgent, actually. And so your background that you had before, exploring also the areas beyond the Earth, and what we at least now try to do is to think about solutions for our own planet, to make that better. And then, to explain a little bit how wide that will go, because we work in various scales. And that's a bit the contrast, because on one hand we live in this small village, and we, like this example, we at this moment are finishing the construction of a small pavilion in the Vondelpark. That's the main park of Amsterdam. A little pavilion and a terrace, really built up by recycled material. And that's we design the furniture, we deal with the city where there is waste material from other projects, and we built this into this site, also together with a local architect that's also based in our small village. So that's one side, and then on the other side, we deal with almost the whole country sometimes in our projects, with all the climate topics. So at this moment, parallel, we are doing a project for the metropolitan region of Amsterdam. And let me see, if, for example, this is Amsterdam, and this is a map showing the risk of flooding in the country. So actually, it's a website. If you live in the Netherlands, you have a website, and you can visit the website, and you can see what would happen if there would be a flood, and what happened with my house. So whether your house will be 1 meter flooded, or 2 meter flooded, or 5 or 6 So it depends on where you live. It is really a site to make people aware of where you live. But this also shows like how to deal with the growing of the metropole. So we're doing now a project for the city, actually for the metropolitan region, and looking at 2100. So that's 80 years into the future. And then thinking like, okay, if we look at 2100, what do we have to deal with? You know, like sea level rising, all kinds of like potential disasters, which of course the Netherlands, when it comes to flood risks, we always knew how to deal with it, at least for the last decades. No big floods has happened. But there's of course always this risk. But on the other hand, we also have to deal with the stress, actually, the stress factor. And that's really something that's happening now. So we have already problems with drought. We have problems with too much rainfall. We have problems with declining of the biodiversity. These things are already happening now. So then the municipality has asked us to really think that far in the future and then translate that into what would you do now, so that we don't make sort of mistake in the planning now, and also to make people that make these policies for the region be aware of what to take into account if you are planning the city, planning the growth of the city. So these kind of, I mean, this is the other side of what we are doing. So like from very small scale to very big scale, and then in all these different scales, we always try to, like what we think in this big scale, we really try to translate in what we do in a small scale, actually, and that also this awareness can even happen. And can be shown in projects for people that live in public space. And for example, if we design a building together with an architect, we really want to make clear and show how the building functions from a sort of climate adaptive point of view. Like if you store the rain on the roof, we want to show that how it works, and let it also be visible for people how this works. So these kind of we always try to integrate this experience and awareness in the projects, but they all come a bit from this very big scale perspective that we always want to keep in our mind in our projects. And one example of this is a project we're doing now in a city, a rainproof project. But one example to really show, sort of different way of thinking. When you design something, like most of the time you think as a landscape architect, you design something for people, but what we do, we always also design a lot for animals and for plants. And this is an example of that. Like we have a lot of big lakes in the Netherlands. One of them is the Marker Lake, and it's a very dull lake. Actually, it has a lot of problems because it has totally cut off from all the natural systems. So it's a very muddy lake, and it's very artificial, and so all hard borders of the lake. So there's no there's actually, as you can see here, the milky one, it's the one with the problem, and the really clear blue one is the lake that is actually attached to the natural to the river system. So the left one is not attached to the river system of the Netherlands. So, and then there is really something missing in the flood in the food chain. So this whole layer of vegetation, water plants, natural water edges is missing in this lake. So so then we have been asked to design a new habitat actually in this lake. And that was and then we always deal with time, with processes, and how just it's just like designing on a blank piece of paper almost, because it's just a big lake. But then how still to come up with it with shape, like with form. And then we always deal with the processes of nature, like what's the power of wind in a lake, what's the power of ice, what is the power of the waves. And then these elements, they really make you think about shape. So we then design these processes in hard edges, in soft edges, and then this all just to create new habitat for birds, for plants, to make the lake more resilient, like a more ecological important. And then so we design, and then like one element in this is also like we always think like, how do you design this from a technical point of view? So these are actually new made islands, and then from the way you make islands from a very technical point of view, you can also let even the way you are putting sludge into a compartment of an island can influence the way vegetation might grow in the future. Because if you put the pipe in a certain direction, then you get a different pattern. And then the way, so that we were guiding people that are building this to experiment with how you can create a sort of micro landscape by the way you build this. And so because the idea was to create as much variation in habitat in an archipelago like this. And as you can see here, you can see the big difference between like the more exposed side of the project with the waves and the back side that is much more quiet and has spaces for fish to breed and for birds. And that's like, it's a 500 hectare part of a, in total in the future 10,000 hectare project. So that's actually very very big, and it's almost actually done, and you can visit it. But it's a group of islands, and you can only visit one of them. So all the rest of this 500 hectare is only for birds actually. So it's just made for the birds. And then since 3 years, it has been, yeah, I think 2 years ago, it was no, maybe even less. They started to count. I think 2 years ago, they started to count, and now they already found 130 plant species and 100 bird species that are now on the island. And then, yeah.
I think, Roel, you probably know that's my favorite project, the Bird Island. And that's your lookout tower, yeah?
Yeah, so we designed this 500 hectare, but we also designed a lookout tower. So, you know, and then how to experience it. So this is just, we always have this contrast in our projects, that we really think from this very big scale, but also really design on a small scale how to experience it. So that's like, yeah, that's a bit our approach. And that's just, yeah, even if we are dealing with a very small project, we always zoom out and think from this big perspective, and yeah, find ways to make it yeah, nature inclusive, for example, eco bridges, or bridges with habitats. And that really becomes more and more important. You see that in Amsterdam now, it becomes more important to the city even demands certain qualities for the new projects. For example, how if you are developing a house in Amsterdam in new regions, then you have to fulfill a 60 millimeter rain storage on your roof. I mean, that's just and you have to do that. That's just a law. Otherwise, you cannot build your house. The city is building new bridges to connect new districts, and like one of them is this. We just won this competition, and this is a new to be built bridge, but the city just demands in the project that the bridge is nature inclusive. So in this bridge, there is habitat for birds, for bats, integrated. And like here in like the municipality is really aware of what this can bring because of the decline of the biodiversity. They want to integrate that in projects, and that's becoming more and more important. And so, like, this is also from the small scale perspective, what kind of things we do. Bit like yeah, this is maybe too long, or but
no, absolutely, really interesting, really interesting. I was even a little bit stunning from the quantity of information you are able to include in a unique design. No, starting from the huge scale of the geography. Even designing the as like a technological nest for the birds, and it's really interesting because it's connected with the idea I have about landscape, and now I would really like MBMB could tell you about our small project on Facebook. When I was a PhD student in Milano, my thesis, the title of my thesis was Architecture of the Landscape. And I decided, and I chose this title inspired by one of my favorite, maybe my favorite book about architecture from Aldo Rossi, The Architecture of the City. And the introduction, the main, the core of this book is the when he wrote architecture as a system designed to get beauty. Approximately, I'm trying to translate in English a really complex concept, but this is the mean. No, without scale, no, without a specific frame, but some idea able to be explored, inquired in different from different point of view. Able to be get understood from different point of view, and in this way, he told you really can get the an artwork, no? Because artwork is a complex factor, and it requires to be built across the human complexity. No, so architecture as organization of parts, and this organization should be able to get in this way beauty. For this reason, I appreciated a lot your work, but I don't want to spend other words. I would like to leave MBMB talk about this small project because each country is amazing. In my opinion, each country is amazing. They have the second biggest forest in the world. They have the beautiful and huge Congo River, but MBMB, you could show what we are doing on Facebook better than me.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I like the previous presentation from Raul. It was really amazing to see how they are dealing with the landscape in a country with which has like so many influences of water, like how the water, people can interact with water. I think we have the same situation in my country. Like we have the biggest river, like it's the biggest river which connects all the country, and there are so many other small rivers which are connected to the big river. So the country has a whole system of river and lakes. So before we were discussing with Giuseppe about opening a forum where we could discuss, like it would be like a platform for discussion and to analyze like the interaction and the issues between the natural and man-made environment in Congo. So the first step of our discussion, we're thinking like to reach people and to see how we can integrate people in our process. So we decided first to create a Facebook group, and in the group, we tried to invite everyone, like any kind of people, like to reach and to share their ideas, but we are still in the beginning phase. So I could share maybe my screen. So as Giuseppe said before, like we're trying to see how we can merge architecture and landscape. Like architecture, we were thinking like not only the building, but also all the system and the connection on the landscape, like the infrastructure. And landscape is because we are trying to see how we can integrate nature in the new design. About the group, actually we started the group, and the group, we were inviting all people, as I said, and actually, like I said before, it's a platform like to discuss issues between man-made environment and to approach also architecture, not only as building design, but urban and rural system and the overall infrastructure network which define the Congolese lands. Because we said like this is the first step of our vision, we are trying to listen and to develop some proposal involving particular places in Congo territory. And first we want to collect and to see where we can apply the project. And the forum is dedicated to the wider public, professional stakeholders interested in the development and improvement of the condition of the landscape in Congo. So after that, we can use this as the platform would be like a reference for us like to be integrated in the whole system, and to point out some design issues we could think of in terms of improving the condition of the Congolese landscape. So maybe to have an idea about the Congolese landscape, I would share this. So currently, the river, there's not really a design of the river like I've seen before in the previous presentation, but you can see like the whole country has so many rivers and even lakes. So, and there are different towns which are connected to the river. So having different idea of the design with the river could be really interesting with this approach, because even the capital city, which is Kinshasa, is also next to the river. And because of lack of design and consideration of the river, it's being polluted, and it's like it's not really taken care of. So in the river also there are different parts which could be, I mean, like which provide like connection, like transportation, and there are some different parts which are just for aesthetical because they are just rapid and just like, I mean, the connection like with nature. So, I mean, this is the overview of the group, but now we are trying to get deep and understand different human interaction with the nature and the landscape, and collect different ideas. I think, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm trying to share with you this Facebook page, this Facebook group, because all the images Ambi is choosing, and even the quotes, the caption is adding, is really interesting, because are able to show a beautiful of this country. And even the relationship, for example, yes, this image is crazy now, because the relationship between human beings and artifacts, constructions, this is really interesting and moved me to the origin of, for example, human geography in French research at the end of the 19th centuries. Now, about the relationship between the human facts and the human life and human needs. No, so it's a good work what Ambi is doing, even trying to build a community able to talk about these issues in his country. So subscribes, guys. Join into the group, because we need also not Congolese people, but an international community, because we would like to start with a rich discussion meeting about the future of this, the future and the present about Congolese landscape.
Can you send us the link, the connection for that too?
MBMB.
Yep.
Can you share the Facebook link on the chat?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, all of us could be sharing our contact and our information on the chat and the Zoom chat. So at the end, we'll have contact of all of us. James, Mike, how is going in your countries? Still at home, Michael?
Not much different here. My country only has one priority. It's sport. So they've started sport again. They don't worry about business or air travel or even the economy too much, as long as people playing football. So that's the big achievement that's been met here. Otherwise, feels like very normal, except we're cut off from the world. That's all.
And James?
Well, we don't have sports here, Mike.
Yeah, so
No sports, unless you count golf as a sport and walking on the beach. So what we have lately is a lot of protests and some riots. I saw something really funny that said over 100,000 Americans died, and now there's not that much protest. And then you have one person died, and there's a huge protest. So I think it's a very interesting phenomenon. I have, in my 30-some plus years living in the United States, I've never seen this country this divided from top to bottom on everything almost. And these protests and some riots really is really shaking I think this country. But maybe it needs to happen. It's also not something like the virus that just came. It's something that's been building for a long, long, long time, and many angry and frustrated people. So I think, yeah, it's quite interesting, and also to see. It's the first time I see that in America there's so many different places, East Coast, West Coast, and the heartlands are reacting so differently to many things, more drastic than ever. So whereas China, you see, I think it's pretty much uniform reaction because it's so yeah. So it's very interesting. It's I wouldn't say it's good, but it's a very interesting time we're living in right now. Yeah, that's the only sport we're getting.
So you are teaching golf to your sons?
I'm teaching golf. I'm teaching this little one.
My beloved niece.
So they're helping me. So yeah, it's an interesting time we're living in. Yes, and
time for our soul. This present is giving us a lot of time for our soul, and this I would share with you this image because let me check. Yes, this one. Where is it? Yes, this is an image. Yes, let me. Yeah. No, this is a video from my friend Mike, and this is really poetic. Plants like in Noé boat is moving plants across the ocean from somewhere to his home.
Yeah.
But where I didn't understand where you bought these plants in another island. Why you are using boat to move plants in the middle of the ocean, Mike?
Okay, actually, I was just looking to find that picture myself, and obviously you like it. I live on an island here, so it's a peninsula or half island, as they call it in China, Bandao, and so the only way to get here is by boat. And I'm a landscape architect, but I rarely plant trees. I mostly get a this thing, circle stencil, you know, and I draw little circles. But this time I decide to buy a whole lot of trees and plant them. So I bought big ones. I go directly to a tree nursery. Maybe they're several years. They're like over human height. They weigh quite a bit. They get delivered in a big truck, and so I put them on the ferry. There's a ferry that comes over here, and it actually reminded me of the original Europeans that came to Australia 250, 300 years ago. Actually, they would often, on their return trip, sometimes they would fit out their ships to be greenhouses to bring back some plant. So actually you would kind of have the effect like that video of a big wooden boat full of trees, you know, because they wanted to take it back. Normally production, like fruit trees or breadfruit, they have. So actually I've now put those trees in the ground and they're all alive and they're all growing. The only thing I need to do is stop the kangaroos. The kangaroos like to eat them because they're herbivores. They don't eat meat, and they get a bit hungry. And it's pretty convenient, you know. It's nutrient rich. It's got a lot of moisture, so they come out and go, "Oh, great! This is like a new meal." So I had to build some tree guards to go around them. But anyway, that's the story of my trees.
Nice. It's imagine so lovely story. Emily, and your life in Helsinki, how is it going?
It's fine. We are already start the summer holiday period, and it seems that all the campus is getting normal, and there are more and more students come outside party and barbecue. So, except I cannot go back to China, things go normal.
我们弄了3把，弄清楚。
不要把咱们用一个颜色。
What's she saying? What she say? What are you saying? James, what's she saying?
She wanted me to change the backgrounds.
Ah, yeah, of course, of course. But for the next episode, you should draw a special background for your daddy. No?
Yeah.
You could draw a special background for him. No? Maybe with a nude heart. No? Why not? Showing all his, maybe an art like this one for your dad. No?
这么一个背景好不好？ I was really impressed by the work by Raul and the research by Hambi because, you know, as an architect we deal with such small limited scopes, and also seems like the forces that we shape our design sometimes is there's a lot of commercial and other restrictions, and but with the landscape you guys are doing, it seems like you guys are so in touch with nature and so influenced by the forces of nature, large but also very fragile at the same time, and both the water and the rivers, and it's pretty amazing. I just have a question. In this kind of work, how do you get the scientific data or the technology to deal with such, to me, I mean, it's like a scientific work. It's almost like not like an architect or a designer. It's almost like an engineer or scientist type of work in terms of accuracy and necessary for technology and data and science. Is that, are you more of a scientist? It just seems so difficult.
Before we're discussing with Giuseppe, because in Congo, there are also some universities, and there are some architecture university like doing research already on ground. So we're thinking like to see how we can reach also those data from the research from universities and even some international organizations like which are doing research in Congo. And also we were thinking like to organize some competition, and in that case we can have different studies and it can enrich our background.
How about you, Raul?
Yeah, we generally collaborate a lot with various teams, with experts, like with engineers, with so for projects we are often part of a team. But on the other hand, the office ourselves, like we are very multidisciplinary. So we have a bit of a rich background, and that makes us really handle very complex projects. Because I mean, we are already like, I've started 22 years ago with actually from the start these kind of topics, really like big scale landscape architecture, nature development. And our current office is founded by 3 landscape architects, but they have a very different background. So I come really from the nature engineering. Another partner is an ecologist, and another partner is an industrial designer. So I mean, these 3 disciplines together makes us able to really handle a lot of complex projects. But then, of course, still for some projects, we still collaborate also with other companies.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to find out more.
It's Gregorio is, I suppose, is still sleeping because this time is too early for him. I know, my friend.
I'm listening. I don't have any.
One of the goal of this series is to build a friendship and above all to plan parties after this weird period. Parties were in the place we love. And one of these places is Venice and the Venetian area. With the Heritage Design Group, Michael had already planned to participate to the Venice Biennale, this 2020 edition, but as you know, it was moved to the next year. But really, I would like to meet all of you in that area to visit not only Venice, but even the Po Valley, the Po Delta area. And I guess Gregorio could explain us something about this area and about the relationship, yes, between architecture of that landscape and Venetian Palladio villas. Or I'm wrong, my friend?
Like right now or in the future?
Your mic is a little bit. Your mic, Greg, I can't hear you. Okay.
Oh, now it's turned off.
Yeah.
Are you listening?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a bit silent today because I don't have anything interesting to say. especially after.
But it's not true. You're
Such interesting introductions. I just wanted to add that here too in Brussels, we had a quite interesting week. Responding to what James said before, we had an unexpected to the main public, but I was quite expecting this, quite violent and strong, and by violent I don't mean negatively, I mean but strong protest, especially from all the immigrant sons, daughters and grandsons and granddaughters of the immigrants here, against racism and the police violence, and a lot of former Congolese also immigrants, and there was this very interesting. There is this very interesting debate about the Leopold II statues that are quite everywhere in Belgium, and that many protesters painted in red, or want to turn down and destroy, because of all the millions of people he killed in Congo, and that was his private colony, garden, I would say, for him, and so there is this very interesting debate right now that I think is a bit late, after more than a century that they should have talked about this, but it's never too late. So yeah, so it was a very interesting week, and touching issues that I've studied in the past about the representation of ideology in architecture. So yeah, it is an interesting time, because we are all kind of starting to be more united, in terms of protests and common fights and so on. So it's beautiful that the world is protesting symbolically for an innocent worker who was killed by the elite in a way. The interesting thing is that Floyd was a working class person, a poor person killed by capitalism in a way, by capitalist policy. And so, yeah, in Brazil at the same time, there is also this huge protest against Bolsonaro, and but kind of inflamed by the US. It's a very in a way tough but beautiful moment, I think. I don't know.
Mike, if you wear your cap, I have just to choose if this is the cap of the moment. But as you know, I have a huge collection of cap, because during this period in I have a this is all my costumes for this video call.
I think you bought that hat in Montauban.
Because really this present, I was having a lot of video calls during the days, so to add some more human contents, I use this kind of trick. I have also, this is for your daughter, James. This is for her. I suppose she could like that a lot, no? This is from my motorbike. Huh? Yeah.
She'll be scared, probably.
So, friend, it was very nice as usual. I'm very glad to meet Roel, and Roel, as MBMB know, as every guest know, I we would like to meet you again every time you want, every time you have time to participate, because this is like a living room, a virtual living room where we met our friends to talk about maybe sometime in a very light way, sometime in a more deep way, about this present and about the opportunity as well as the issues it's giving us. And today I wanted you and Hamby could meet because I appreciated a lot the approach you and your company have in landscape architecture, and really I guess Congo is an interesting opportunity, is an interesting issue to debate, to talk about. And as you know, both of you, me and you, already collaborate with Michael and the Tesha Design Group, and I suppose really we could plan something useful to talk about the destiny of this amazing part of the world. No, Michael.
Nice.
When will we go to Congo? we have to plan a trip.
I would like to go there.
I like to tag along. I love to see Congo.
James, we have to meet kangaroos at first, but also gorillas. So Australia and Congo. After that, in Venice and Venetian landscape with Gregorio, and sure we have to come back to Amsterdam because Holland is so close, and
we don't have kangaroos.
Yeah, without the kangaroos, but we Rembrandt, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Tyrol.
No, so it's not so bad.
I wanted to ask Tyrol if the place where he works, this garden, this kind of village, that was designed by you? No.
No. It's an initiative from a group of people. We actually, because it was founded, I think now 6 or 5 years ago, and but we collaborated with one of the people that took the initiative, and they asked us to join their village. So,
and is the wine they do there good?
Yeah, we are part of the wine. We are a member of the vineyard, so we.
because last year I've been with my students from the ULB to see the Borneo neighborhood, and because my colleagues are all from, we are all from. We studied in the late 90s, beginning of 2000, so Borneo was big hit.
Yeah.
And so they're very attached to this project, and we asked the students to redesign this whole area, to redraw the projects of the Borneo area and so on. And so we've been there for a day, and one of the places they loved the most was, we went walking in the city, and the place they loved the most was this kind of village where you work. We end up there by mistake in a way, and they were like, "Wow, professor, this is so amazing," and so on. So yeah, they love the containers and the garden, and didn't.
Yeah, it's really like a nice. I mean, if you cycle through the city, because actually I'm now in the Borneo region because I live there, and I cycle always to the office.
Yeah.
And and then you go through the city, and then you end up a little bit like after the west station. It gets a bit open. It's really a sort of green corridor out towards the sea, and then you end up in these little red containers, and it really feels a bit like, oh, coming to the village, coming home. Or so it's a very relaxed, nice place. That makes it very special, but of course also because it's temporary, so it really has the ground, the price of the plot is of course amazingly high, because it's a very special location next to the station. But that makes it of course unique to be able to work there. I mean, you hear the announcements of the train coming in, like in a way, if you would run, you would be in 2 minutes at the platform, and then on the other hand, you look out the window, you're in a vineyard. So that's really a big contrast. Yeah, I think there are not many years left from the contract. I think maybe 3 to 4, then it probably needs to go. Although you don't know what happens or if there will be prolonged, but it's very special to work there. And yeah, the vineyard is something. It's actually started by a sort of parallel group, so like partially the same people that live there, but it's a bit of a community, also broader than the village of the offices that settled there. So you can just become member of this vineyard and do the maintenance in the weekend. And then it's just a sort of shared project. So you share the outcome of the production of the vineyard, and so it's not commercial. It's just only for people that joined it.
So guys, as our tradition wants, we could say bye-bye with the same music we started. I want to hold your hand as soon as possible, meeting you in person, and have a glass of wine or a coffee or a tea or a good Dutch beer when as soon as possible. And really roll feel free to come back and join with us every time you want. Every Thursday at 8 a.m. we met our friends, so I'm really See you soon.
Yes, it was very nice meeting you guys. Bye. And yeah,
bye.
You are welcome to join every appointment we have at 8 a.m.
Yeah. So that's just a fixed. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Thanks, James.
Thanks. Bye. See you. Bye.
It's such a feeling that my love.
Ciao Roel, ciao Emby, ciao Emily, ciao a tutti.